Hey everyone, in my video series on the main antagonists from Batman, the animated series, today it's Catwoman's turn. Selina Kyle, better known as Catwoman, is one of the most complex characters in the Gotham universe. She constantly walks the line between heroine and villainess, between loyalty and betrayal, between independence and the desire for closeness. Her character is marked by inner conflicts. She loves freedom, yet she longs for recognition. She despises injustice but commits crimes herself. She respects Batman, but she can't follow his rules. Catwoman appears in 8 out of 85 episodes. I generally exclude cameo appearances. Let's first take a look at all these episodes together and what we learn about Catwoman from them. Episode 13, The Cat and the Claw Part 1. The episode begins with a break-in at a luxurious apartment in Gotham City. Catwoman sneaks past the security lasers with the help of her cat Isis and steals a valuable necklace. But Batman already has her in his sights. A thrilling chase across the rooftops of the city begins, during which Catwoman showcases her acrobatic skills and her mastery of the whip. Batman is fast, but Catwoman manages to shake him off for a moment. When Isis is almost run over by a car, Batman saves the cat, which impresses Catwoman. Later, a charity auction for the protection of endangered species takes place, where a date with Gotham's most eligible bachelor is auctioned off. Bruce Wayne becomes the highest bidder, thanks to Selina Kyle, who generously offers $10,000. However, she is less interested in Bruce than in her passion project, the protection of mountain lions. Bruce insists on going on the date, and Selina agrees to have lunch with him. Meanwhile, criminals are attacking a military truck with weapons. Batman intervenes and is able to stop most of the criminals. Commissioner Gordon informs him about a dangerous terrorist named Red Claw who is in Gotham. Selina is disappointed when she learns that her planned land purchase for the Mountain Lion Reserve has failed. Multigan International, a large corporation, has purchased the area. Bruce offers to help them and arranges a meeting with the chairman, Mr. Stern. But Stern refuses to back down, suggesting that Multigan will eliminate the mountain lions in their own way. Angrily, Selina threatens to mobilize environmental activists. But Stern is secretly working with Red Claw and orders to have Selina watched. While Batman gathers information about Red Claw at night, Catwoman breaks into Multigan to collect evidence of their machinations. She discovers secret documents but is surprised by Red Claw. A wild chase ensues, during which Catwoman barely escapes, thanks to Batman, who saves her at the last second. But instead of thanking him, she pushes him off a building and flees. Back home, Selina reports her discoveries to her assistant Maven. But a henchman of Red Claw has been watching her and now knows who is behind the mask of Catwoman. What do we learn about Catwoman in this episode? She is not only a burglar but also has a deep passion for animals, especially big cats. She is a skilled acrobat and uses her whip as well as her cat Isis to overcome obstacles. She is brave and confident, but also ready to take on more powerful opponents like Red Claw. Her moral line is unclear. She does steal from the rich, but at the same time, she is committed to a good cause. She is attracted to Batman, but shows no hesitation in betraying him if necessary. Episode 16, The Cat and the Claw Part 2. Batman learns from a mafia informant that a major train heist is planned, but details are scarce. When he speaks with Commissioner Gordon, it turns out that it is a secret military transport, exactly the target of Red Claw. Meanwhile, Red Claw and her crew carry out the heist and steal a deadly biological weapon. Batman tries to intervene, but Red Claw threatens to release the virus, forcing him to capitulate. The next day, Selina and Bruce go on their long-awaited date, but their romantic outing is abruptly interrupted when Red Claw's men try to force Bruce off the road. Through skillful driving maneuvers, he is able to fend off the attackers. After the dangerous encounter, he takes Selina home and asks her to tell him the truth if she is in danger, a sign that he has developed real feelings for her. While Batman continues to search for Red Claw, he makes a surprising discovery. A cat hair on his cape reveals to him that Selina Kyle and Catwoman are one and the same person. Maven is ambushed by Red Claw's men, but Batman comes to her aid. He learns from her that Selina has infiltrated Red Claw's hideout. Selina, also known as Catwoman, sneaks into Multigan to gather more evidence. She is discovered and captured, but Batman saves her. However, they are captured again and imprisoned in an underground bunker facility. Red Claw explains her diabolical plan. She will threaten Gotham with a fake virus attack to enforce a ransom demand, and leaves Batman and Catwoman with the real biological weapon in the bunker. Through her claws, Catwoman is able to free herself, and Batman sets an explosive plan in motion. He uses a gasoline line to trigger a massive explosion that destroys the virus and obliterates Red Claw's base. While Gotham is saved, Catwoman is once again attacked by Red Claw. But this time she gets unexpected help. A wild mountain lion pounces on the terrorist and takes her out of action. Selina can escape unnoticed. However, a nasty surprise awaits her at home. Batman is already waiting for her. Despite his feelings for her, he remains loyal to his mission and arrests Catwoman with a heavy heart. What do we learn about Catwoman in this episode? Her passion for animal protection is genuine. She risks her life to protect the mountain lions. She is an experienced spy and infiltrator, but can still find herself in dangerous situations. Despite her independence, she has real feelings for Batman, which confuses her. She stands on the border between good and evil. She wants justice, but on her own terms. Ultimately, she is a tragic figure. She fights for a good cause, but her illegal actions lead to Batman having to arrest her. Episode 30, Perchance to Dream. Batman is chasing a group of criminals into a warehouse. But suddenly, he is blinded by a bright flash of light. Before he can react, something falls on his head, and he loses consciousness. Then Bruce Wayne wakes up, in his bed, in Wayne Manor. Alfred greets him as usual, but there is a disturbing change. Alfred seems to know nothing about Batman's existence. When Bruce recounts his experience in the warehouse, Alfred reacts with confusion. Even the name Robin is unfamiliar to him. He believes Bruce is talking about a woman he is dating. Confused, Bruce tries to enter the Batcave, but when he opens the clock, there is no secret entrance. Shocked, he then notices the impossible. His parents, Thomas and Martha Wayne, are alive. His father is worried about him, but Bruce tries to pull himself together. Alfred explains to him that he runs the family business while Lucius Fox does the actual work. Even more surprising is the next piece of news. Bruce is engaged to Selina Kyle. Later that day, Selina comes to him to cheer him up. She is loving and happy, but Bruce remains suspicious of this reality. Then he suddenly sees Batman in action on the street. Full of horror, he runs outside and watches as the mysterious Batman foils a jewel heist. Selina explains that Batman appeared some time ago, but no one knows who he really is. When Bruce asks her if she knows about Catwoman, she reacts with concern. Bruce visits Dr. Leslie Tompkins, who explains to him that he identifies with Batman because he perceives his life as too easy. Bruce accepts the explanation and tries to come to terms with his new life. But then he discovers something disturbing. When he tries to read the newspaper, all the letters are meaningless, jumbled up. The same thing happens when he opens a book. Bruce realizes that something is wrong. This must be a dream. Determined to find out the truth, he buys climbing gear and sets off. But as he leaves the city, he is stopped by the police. Due to his strange behavior, they want to take him with them, but Bruce flees. He climbs a bell tower where he confronts Batman. In the fight, he tears off Batman's mask. Underneath it is the Mad Hatter. He confesses that the entire reality is an artificial dream world, created to give Bruce a perfect life. The Mad Hatter wanted to get rid of Batman by simply giving him his greatest happiness. But Bruce refuses to live in a lie. He jumps from the bell tower and awakens in the real world. He finds himself in a chamber where the Mad Hatter has held him captive with a mind control device. Angrily, Batman frees himself, defeats Hatter and his henchmen, and asks why he did it. The Mad Hatter breaks down in tears and confesses that he just wanted to get Batman out of his life. The police arrest him while Batman silently accepts reality. What do we learn about Catwoman in this episode? In Bruce's perfect dream world, Selina is not Catwoman, but his fiancée. She loves him sincerely and cares about him. Bruce, however, realizes that this version of Selina is not real, she is part of the lie. This shows that Bruce subconsciously knows that a relationship with Selina is impossible as long as she remains Catwoman. Episode 35, Cat Scratch Fever. Selina Kyle is on trial for multiple thefts as Catwoman. The judge explains that her crimes could result in a prison sentence of up to 25 years. Although her thefts were intended for animal welfare, this is not recognized as a mitigating circumstance. But because she helped Batman save Gotham from Red Claw's deadly virus, she only receives 5 years of probation. The courtroom applauds, but the judge warns her, if she breaks the law again, there will be no second chance. Bruce watches the coverage of the verdict. Alfred notices that Bruce doesn't seem happy about it. Bruce explains that he doesn't believe Selina has really changed. Besides, she doesn't love him, she loves Batman. Selina is overjoyed that she is free. But when she comes home, a bad piece of news awaits her. Maven tells her that her beloved cat Isis has gone missing. Selina immediately sets out to search. At the fish market, she questions vendors, but no one has seen Isis. While she observes the stray cats, 2 men suddenly appear, capturing the animals with a net. Selina confronts them, but the men react aggressively. When she fights back, the situation escalates, and Batman intervenes. They share a brief moment, but when the police arrive, Batman disappears. The men claim they were just trying to rescue stray cats, and the police arrest Selina for assault. Meanwhile, Roland Daggett is working with Dr. Milo on a dangerous plan. They infect an animal with a virus that immediately makes others aggressive. Their goal, to spread a deadly virus through Gotham, then sell an expensive cure. Isis is one of the infected animals. Selina is released from prison because Bruce paid her bail. She thanks him, but makes it clear that she only sees him as a friend. Bruce warns her to stay away from Daggett, but Selina already has her own plans, as Catwoman. At night, Catwoman breaks into Daggett's lab and finds Isis. But the cat bites her and infects her with the virus. In panic, she flees, but becomes weaker. Batman finds her and learns about the virus. Meanwhile, Batman confronts Daggett's men and learns the entire plan. Daggett wants to flood the streets with infected animals and then sell the antidote. But before Batman can stop them, Milo sets an infected dog on him. A dangerous chase ensues over a frozen lake. While Batman fights against the aggressive beast, Daggett's men attack. Batman can heal the dog with an antiserum, but the ice breaks and everyone falls into the water. Batman manages to overpower the villains and save Catwoman. The next morning, Daggett is in custody, and the city praises Catwoman's heroic deed. But Selina is sad, she has lost Isis. Just as she stands on her balcony, a basket with Isis is lowered down. Selina happily hugs her cat and watches Batman disappear into the distance. What do we learn about Catwoman in this episode? She loves her cat Isis above all and risks everything for her. She can't separate herself from her criminal identity, Catwoman still exists. Despite her illegal actions, she also has a heroic side. She realizes that Bruce is a good person, but her feelings belong to Batman. Their happy ending is bittersweet, she has Isis back, but the distance from Batman remains. Episode 41, Tyger. Selina Kyle visits the Gotham Zoo late at night to observe a captive tiger. She speaks softly to the animal when she is suddenly hit by a tranquilizer dart from a sniper. The attacker, a huge, gorilla-like man named Garth, approaches her. Selina thinks he is after the Tyger, but Garth assures her that she herself is the real target. Before he can abduct her, a security officer appears, but Garth pushes him into the Tyger pit before fleeing with Selina. Meanwhile, Bruce Wayne is waiting in a restaurant for Selina, who is running late. When he learns from an employee that Selina had planned to visit the zoo beforehand, he drives there and finds out from a security guard that a gorilla has kidnapped a woman. He finds a tranquilizer dart and realizes that Selina is in serious danger. Selina awakens in a laboratory and is observed by a large, cat-like creature named Tigress. A scientist, Dr. Emile Dorian, introduces himself and explains that he is a genetic researcher experimenting with animal DNA. He has created beings like Garth and considers Tigress his masterpiece. Now he wants to turn Selina into a true Catwoman as well. She realizes in horror that he knows her identity, and before she can escape, Dorian injects her with a mysterious substance. Meanwhile, Batman visits Dr. Kirk Langstrom, who explains that the T99 serum contained in Selina's tranquilizer dart is used for genetic experiments and was originally developed by Dorian. Langstrom warns Batman that Dorian has retreated to a remote island to conduct his research undisturbed. Batman then travels to Dorian's island and discovers winged cats there. When he tries to break into the lab through the roof, he is attacked by Garth. Dorian proudly shows Batman his latest experiment, Selina, who has already transformed into a hybrid Catwoman. Batman is horrified and demands an antidote, but Dorian orders Tigress to get rid of Batman. Tigress feels affection for Selina, but she looks at him only with confusion and fear. Batman and Tigress fight, and Batman is eventually hunted onto the island grounds. Dorian promises that he will give him the antidote if he defeats Tigress. While Batman tries to outsmart Tigress, Selina manages to escape from the lab. She is desperate about her new form, but uses her new abilities to navigate through the jungle. When she finds Batman, he is fighting Tigress on a collapsing suspension bridge. Both fall, but Batman can hold on to a tree. Tigress also survives and is convinced by Selina that Batman is not his enemy. When Batman and Selina return to the lab, Tigress breaks out when Dorian tries to kill Selina. Horrified by the cruelty of his creator, Tigress angrily destroys the lab, which then explodes. Batman saves Selina while Tigress pulls the unconscious Dorian from the rubble. When Selina believes she will remain a feline creature forever, Tigress hands her the antidote. He declines her offer to come to Gotham and instead retreats into the wilderness. Batman quotes the poem The Tyger by William Blake as he and Selina leave the island. What do we learn about Catwoman in this episode? Selina is once again portrayed as a passionate animal rights activist. Her love for big cats puts her in danger. She is transformed into a true Catwoman by Dr. Dorian, which initially drives her to despair. Despite her new feline nature, she retains her humanity and does not feel romantically attracted to Tigress. She is ready to resume her old life but declines Tigress' invitation to stay with him. The episode shows Selina's deepest connection to the cat world, but also its limits. She does not want to be trapped in an animal body. Episode 46, Almost Got Him. In the shady bar stacked deck, the Joker, the Penguin, Two-Face, Killer Croc, and Poison Ivy sit together and recount their narrowest victories over Batman to each other. While they exchange their theories about Batman's true identity, Two-Face claims that it must be multiple people, while the Penguin believes that Batman experienced a traumatic crime in his childhood. Killer Croc, on the other hand, thinks that Batman is a robot, a theory that visibly amuses the others. Bit by bit, everyone tells their personal story about how they almost defeated Batman. The Joker describes how he took over a show in a TV studio and tied Batman to an electric chair powered by the audience's laughter. While the Joker was having fun and even grilling a sausage on the heating chair, Catwoman intervened. She fought against him, but before she could defeat the Joker, she was knocked down by Harley Quinn. To the horror of the other villains, the Joker reveals that he took Catwoman to a cat food factory after the show to turn her into cat food and serve the final product to Batman the next morning. Suddenly, Killer Croc stands up, says I don't think that's going to happen, but in a different voice. To everyone's shock, he turns out to be Batman in disguise. But before the villains can attack him, Batman signals the disguised police officers in the room, including Commissioner Gordon and Harvey Bullock, to draw their weapons. The entire bar was part of a police operation. Batman leaves the scene and heads to the cat food factory, where he finds Catwoman, bound and gagged, on a conveyor belt that is about to take her into a machine. At the last moment, he saves her and defeats Harley Quinn. Later, Catwoman thanks Batman for the rescue and emphasizes that she has now returned the favor, as she had also saved him. She tries to seduce him and asks him to reveal his true identity. But when she turns around, he has already disappeared. Smiling to herself, she says, almost got him. What do we learn about Catwoman in this episode? Catwoman acts bravely and independently by intervening in Joker's show to save Batman. Despite her abilities, she is ultimately captured, which shows that she is not invincible in the world of Gotham's supervillains. She is one of the few who opens up emotionally to Batman. Her romantic feelings for him are genuine, but his secrecy frustrates her. Her humor and lightness are evident in her latest comment. She takes the game between her and Batman with a wink. She has a knack for drama and enjoys the cat and mouse game with Batman, even if she doesn't always have the upper hand. Episode 74, Catwalk. Selina Kyle visits a museum where an exhibition of stuffed animals is being shown. Especially a black leopard evokes her memories of her past as Catwoman. She remembers seeing herself as a cat who walks alone until she met Batman. To keep her freedom, she had to promise him to give up her double life as Catwoman. While Selina reflects on her past, she examines a collection of extinct animals. Bruce Wayne and Veronica Vreeland notice her. Veronica, wanting to appear friendly, explains that the museum's new conservation hall was built in honor of her grandfather, Stanton Vreeland. Selina is outraged because she holds Stanton and hunters like him responsible for the extinction of many of the animals on display. Angrily, she leaves the museum, saying that she doesn't belong there. Outside, Selina is overwhelmed by Rhino and forced into a black car. Inside, she meets the ventriloquist and Scarface. Scarface suggests to her to take revenge on the Vreelands by stealing valuable jewels from the museum. Although Selina had actually said goodbye to Catwoman, she can't resist the temptation and agrees. That night, Catwoman sneaks into the museum and searches for the jewels. Meanwhile, Scarface uses the distraction to send his men off and steal a larger haul. He betrays Catwoman and ensures that she gets trapped in the museum. She manages to escape the security forces and the police but is made the prime suspect for the theft. When she comes home, Batman is already waiting for her. He doubts her story that she only returned to apologize for her rudeness and happened to stumble upon the burglary. Catwoman claims that she only put on her costume to track down the real thieves. Batman insists that she turns herself in to the police. Together, they return to the museum and discover that not only jewels but also some of the stuffed animals have been stolen. Catwoman realizes that Scarface was actually after these animals. Batman senses that she is not telling him the whole truth. When he confronts her, she attacks him and flees, determined to take revenge on Scarface. Batman secretly tracks her with a transmitter. Catwoman tracks down Scarface in his hideout, where he is trying to sell the stolen animals on the black market. But before she can strike, her cat Isis accidentally reveals her presence. Scarface drops a heavy piece of wood on her, knocking her unconscious and sending her onto a conveyor belt with a circular saw. Isis wakes her up at the last second, and Catwoman manages to save herself, but Rhino catches her again. Scarface now wants to kill her once and for all, but Batman appears and frees her. While Batman fights Rhino, Catwoman seizes the opportunity to throw Scarface onto the saw. The ventriloquist desperately tries to save his puppet and stops the conveyor belt. Catwoman takes the opportunity to drop a load of logs on Scarface, destroying him. Then she turns against the ventriloquist and is about to kill him, but Batman stops her. Batman wants to arrest Catwoman, but she throws a stuffed Tasmanian tiger specimen into a fire. Since Batman cannot allow the last relic of this extinct species to be destroyed, he agrees, and Catwoman seizes the opportunity to escape. Batman looks after her disappointedly as she refers to herself as the cat that walks alone. What do we learn about Catwoman in this episode? She struggles with her identity. Selina wants to break free from her past as Catwoman, but she can't resist the temptation when the opportunity arises. Her sense of justice is selective. She feels strong anger towards hunters and sees Scarface's plan as just revenge, yet her own morality remains questionable. Her relationship with Batman is tense. She longs for his recognition, but her criminal impulses repeatedly bring her into conflict with him. She is vengeful. She not only wants to defeat Scarface but also destroy him, and she almost killed the ventriloquist. She chooses solitude. In the end, she accepts that she is not a heroine and that her path will always separate her from Batman. Episode 85, Batgirl Returns. A valuable jade cat artifact from the Han Dynasty is stolen from Gotham University. Batman is immediately on the scene but comes under fire from Penguin's umbrella, which shoots electric bolts. Before he can react, his batarang is deflected by a Joker blade card. The Joker and Two-Face approach, ready to take him out. Just when things look bad for Batman, Batgirl shows up and tells the villains to back off. She quickly defeats them and helps Batman up. Gratefully, Batman holds Batgirl close to him and kisses her. But suddenly, Dick's voice is heard and Barbara Gordon wakes up. It was just a dream. Dick calls her and invites her for a pizza, but she declines. Shortly thereafter, Barbara sees an article in the newspaper about the theft of an invaluable statuette from the university. Curious, she decides to take a closer look at the matter. As Batgirl, she goes to the university and discovers Catwoman investigating the crime scene. She attacks Catwoman, but she claims to be innocent and that the burglary is not her style. Batgirl doesn't quite believe her and asks her to go to the police with her. Catwoman refuses, and it almost leads to a fight until Robin shows up and distracts her. Catwoman seizes the opportunity to escape. Batgirl explains to Robin that Catwoman is not the thief, but he is frustrated with her solo actions and leaves. The next evening, Batgirl receives a message from the Winged Mouse, a meeting with Catwoman. At Bayshore Pier, Catwoman proposes a partnership to find the true thief. Batgirl agrees, on the condition that Catwoman will turn herself in if she lies. They go to the stacked deck to interrogate the chemist who melted the lock at the university. He flees, and a fight breaks out in the bar. They steal a motorcycle, evade the police, and follow a lead to Roland Daggett's lab. There, they are captured by Daggett's men. Daggett wants to shoot them and dissolve their bodies in acid, but Robin shows up and saves them. Catwoman chases Daggett and steals the Jade Cat back. Daggett attacks her with a metal rod, but she overpowers him and hangs him on a chain over the acid pit. She wants to drop him, but Batgirl saves him. When Batgirl tries to stop Catwoman, she escapes in a police car. Robin wants to chase her, but Batgirl says there will be another opportunity. What do we learn about Catwoman in this episode? She is a con artist. She pretends to seek justice, but always intended to steal the Jade Cat. She is pragmatic. She works with Batgirl as long as it benefits her, but later betrays her. She has a moral code. She could have killed Daggett but didn't, out of respect for Batgirl or to protect herself. She is independent. She refuses to be caught and escapes despite all odds. Alright, then let's take a detailed look at a characterization of Catwoman once again. As a former burglar with a deep connection to cats, she is an excellent thief, acrobat, and fighter. Her criminal acts are often driven by personal motives, resulting not solely from greed but from conviction or revenge. Despite her illegal activities, she is not a cold-blooded criminal like the Joker or Two-Face. She has her own morals. which set her apart from other villains. Catwoman defines herself as the cat who walks alone. Her desire for freedom is one of her strongest traits, and she refuses to be pigeonholed neither as a heroine nor as a villainess. While she has repeatedly tried to lead a normal life in the past, she is always drawn back into the world of crime. In Catwalk, it becomes clear that she feels excluded from societal structures. She sees herself as an outsider living in a world dominated by hunters like Stanton Vreeland, people who abuse power and wealth to exploit animals and the weaker ones. She does not feel part of this system and draws her justification for her own criminal actions from it. Nevertheless, she realizes throughout the series that her independence is not only a strength but also a burden. Her need to be free from rules increasingly isolates her, especially from Batman, with whom she has a complex relationship. Although she acts as a thief and criminal, Catwoman possesses a strong sense of justice, albeit only within the framework she defines herself. In Catwalk, she is outraged by the extermination of animals by people like Stanton Vreeland. She sees herself as the avenger of those who have no voice, even if she achieves her goals through illegal means. This selective sense of justice is also evident in Batgirl Returns. There, she pretends to work with Batgirl to catch a thief, but in reality, she wants to keep the stolen Jade Cat for herself. She uses moral arguments when it suits her, but in the end, she chooses her own advantage. This double standard is typical of Catwoman. She fights against injustice when she is personally affected or when she can take on the role of the avenger, but when it comes to her own advantage, she is no better than the criminals she supposedly despises. The dynamic between Catwoman and Batman is characterized by tension, mutual respect, and unfulfilled desires. Batman sees in her a woman with potential, but who is repeatedly led by her criminal inclinations. Catwoman, on the other hand, admires Batman for his strength and principles but cannot fully fit into his world. In Catwalk, it is Batman who warns her not to go down the wrong path again. But instead of listening to him, she attacks him and flees when she realizes that he doesn't fully trust her. Nevertheless, he remains her moral compass. Even when she defeats Scarface, she cannot kill the ventriloquist because Batman stops her. His influence prevents her from completely slipping into her dark side. In Batgirl Returns, Batman is absent, which gives Catwoman the opportunity to carry out her own plans without hindrance. However, her interaction with Batgirl shows that she feels Batman's influence on her. She sees Batgirl as a little version of him and tests her to find out if she is just as easy to manipulate. But Batgirl proves that she is more like Batman than expected. She is not deceived and ultimately prevails against Catwoman. Catwoman realizes that she will never be more to Batman than a woman he wants to save but cannot save. Her decision to flee at the end of Catwalk is also a decision against him. She accepts her role as a solitary hunter, while he feels committed to his mission as Gotham's protector. Catwoman is not a classic villain, but she can be extremely vengeful and ruthless. In Catwalk, it's not just about stopping Scarface for her, she wants to destroy him. She drops logs on him and no longer sees him as an opponent, but as prey. Only Batman's intervention prevents her from killing the ventriloquist. In Batgirl Returns, she once again shows her uncompromising nature when she almost lets Roland Daggett fall into a vat of acid. Here, too, she is stopped by a heroine, this time by Batgirl. The pattern is clear. Catwoman has a threshold she would cross if no one stops her. Her feelings of revenge can make her blind to moral boundaries. Another remarkable characteristic of Catwoman is her ability to manipulate people. She knows how to use her charm and confidence to win others over for her own purposes. In Batgirl Returns, she tries to deceive Batgirl by posing as an innocent investigator. She presents herself as someone on the side of the law, only to later reveal that she had intended to keep the Jade Cat for herself from the very beginning. Even in her relationship with Batman, she often uses seduction and charm to unsettle him. She knows that he has feelings for her and plays with it, even though she secretly knows that she will never change. Finally, I will attempt a psychiatric analysis of Catwoman. Selina Kyle, also known as Catwoman, is one of the most multifaceted characters in the Gotham universe. She oscillates between heroine and villainess, is morally ambivalent, and exhibits a deep-rooted need for freedom and independence. Her psychological patterns suggest various personality traits and possible psychiatric diagnoses that could explain her actions and motivations. This analysis examines Catwoman's behavior from a clinical psychiatric perspective. In the analysis of Catwoman's behavior, various mental disorders or personality traits can be considered. 1. Antisocial personality disorder, ASPD. Selina Kyle exhibits numerous behaviors that align with antisocial personality disorder. Breaking the law, Catwoman is a notorious thief and deliberately operates outside the law. She does not feel bound by societal rules and breaks them without visible remorse. Manipulative behavior, she uses her intelligence and charm to influence people for her own purposes. In Batgirl Returns, she deceives Batgirl by pretending to be an ally while actually pursuing her own goals. Lack of remorse, she shows no guilt for her actions. On the contrary, she rationalizes her criminal behavior by portraying it as an act of justice, e.g., revenge for the extinct animals in Catwalk. Impulsivity, she often makes rash decisions that put her in danger. In Catwalk, she betrays Batman and recklessly embarks on a revenge campaign against Scarface. Catwoman, however, has moral boundaries. She does not kill indiscriminately and avoids unnecessary violence against innocents. While classic ASPD sufferers often feel no empathy, Selina occasionally shows compassion, for example towards animals or certain people, e.g., Batman. Therefore, a pure ASPD diagnosis would not be accurate. 2. Borderline personality disorder, BPD. Some of her behaviors fit the borderline diagnosis. Unstable relationships, Catwoman has a complex relationship with Batman. She longs for closeness, but at the same time, she pushes him away. Her on-off dynamic with him is typical for those affected by borderline personality disorder. Identity issues, Selina Kyle struggles with her identity. She wants to be free, but she also seeks recognition. She wavers between the role of a thief, a vigilante, and a potential ally of Batman. Impulsivity, similar to ASPD, she often makes impulsive decisions. Especially in Catwalk, she acts without long-term planning and risks her life for revenge. Self-sabotage, those affected by borderline tend to self-sabotage, for example, by destroying relationships or missing out on opportunities for a stable life. Catwoman might intentionally distance herself from Batman in Catwalk because deep down she believes she cannot be loved. Catwoman does not exhibit classic borderline symptoms such as self-harm, suicidal thoughts, or chronic feelings of emptiness. Her emotional instability is indeed present, but not as extreme as in a typical BPD diagnosis. 3. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Selina's past is marked by loss and trauma. There are indications that she had a difficult childhood, possibly with neglect or abuse. Her deep bond with cats could symbolically represent an emotional protection strategy. Hypervigilance, she is always alert and distrustful, especially towards authorities and the law. Avoidance of closeness, she has difficulty forming intimate relationships because she fears vulnerability. Her relationship with Batman clearly demonstrates this. Desire for revenge, many PTSD sufferers feel a strong urge for retribution. Catwoman's fight against perpetrators like Daggett, who poisoned Isis, fits this. Although Catwoman may have experienced traumatic events, her behavior is not directly characterized by flashbacks or panic attacks. Her motivation seems to stem more from a deep sense of justice and a desire for freedom than from classic PTSD symptoms. 4. Kleptomania. Selina Kyle is a professional thief, but she differs from a classic kleptomania diagnosis. She doesn't steal out of an uncontrollable urge, but with strategic goals. Although she enjoys stealing, it is not an impulsive compulsion but a conscious decision. The most likely diagnosis for Catwoman would be an antisocial personality disorder with borderline traits, combined with possible post-traumatic stress symptoms. Catwoman is therefore not a classic sociopath, but a multifaceted personality with deeply rooted fears, longings, and conflicts. She is a woman torn between freedom and connection, and in this turmoil, she finds her true character.